Have you ever been in a situation where it seemed everyone liked a particular movie except you? That's my current situation with the movie House of GAA. Welcome to Nigerian Movie Reviews, and in the next few minutes, I will share three main reasons why I believe the movie House of GAA does not deserve all the hype that it is getting at the moment. This film is based on the life of a military leader of the old Oyo kingdom during the 18th century, known as Basharun Gaa. He is powerful, is feared by all, and he must be stopped. So, what worked? They had a good source material. Even though some people have argued extensively that the way this movie approached the story is not historically accurate. I don't know enough about these historical events to be able to speak on that. So I'll just say that I thought it was a good story generally. Plot progression was not too bad. The setting was good. Editing was a little weird because some of the effects looked fake. Some of their costumes did not look like they belonged to that period. But I'll say generally, the set pieces were nice and cinematography was not bad as well. So you must be wondering that if all these things worked for this film, then why did I not like it? Alright. I did not like it because some things were just not right. It felt like this film could and should have been more. So, number one issue for me was acting and casting. I know, very unpopular opinion, but for me, it was an issue. We saw so many popular faces, including people that had business being in this film and those that had no business being in this film. Femi Branch gave a good performance. He tried really hard. He looked fierce, but his exaggerated facial expressions just did not work for me. It made it too obvious that he was trying. He was trying really hard. So the performance was not as effortless as the role demanded. Same for Olaotan, Basharun's eldest son. He tried to look, talk, and walk like a warrior, but it was just not convincing. Same for the character that was Are. See, I can say the same for most of the other performances in this film. I felt like the characters in this film did not have a connection or chemistry. Each person seemed to be doing their own thing, so everything felt quite flat. I watched Ageshikole and Jagun Jagun, so I know what it means to embody a role and what it means for the cast in a film to work in perfect synergy. It was just lacking in this film. I won't even talk about all the tiny actors, but yeah, that's it. Number two issue was the use of language. For an epic film, the use of language and the richness of the dialogue is very important. The dialogue in this film lacked depth. It lacked wisdom, right? It just seemed like they were just talking normally, right? But most importantly, they could not speak Yoruba properly. Talk less of speaking the kind of Yoruba fitting for the 18th century in an old Yoruba kingdom. You could hear them hesitate with the words, or the times when they outrightly used the wrong sounds, thus distorting the pronunciation of and the meaning of those words. Their lines in this film sounded like direct translations from an English script, not particularly how a native Yoruba person would speak. Some people were really bad, some were slightly bad, but they were all guilty. Even Basharu himself. And I believe the director should have addressed this. In line with this point, I want to point out that Mike Afolarin, who played the role of Oyemekun, you know that he was the narrator, right? I did not think that was a great idea because, number one, his Yoruba was not solid. Also, if we assume that he was narrating this film as an old man who witnessed all these things, then the voice of the narrator should have sounded older older. So they should have used someone else for the narration and not Mike. I do not think that Mike was able to do so much with that narration with his voice and the strength of his Yoruba. Do you get? Also, all the other tribes featured in this film, especially the Nupe people, maybe they should just have allowed them speak their languages, right? Because it was just off constantly. Seeing them and hearing them just speak that Yoruba in a very odd manner. For example, Stan Nze's scene was really bad. The fact that it was the opening scene for this film was even more annoying. There was this film where you remember that giant when he came to fight and he said, "Emi yo pa e fun iku oga mi." It was ridiculous. Like, it made me cringe so bad, right? So that's it for language. The third issue I had with this film was the fact that all through it felt like a build up towards something great that just never happened, right? They built anticipation several times and nothing happened. It was quite frustrating. Let me give you examples. For instance, they kept on talking about the Nupe bride, calling her a witch. It did not seem like Basharun was particularly fond of her, right? But we kept on seeing her. She had more screen time than the other brides, than even Funke Akindele, right? So I was expecting that she was going to play an important role down the line in this film. Imagine my shock when I realized that she was of no use. Another example is the part Oyemeku played in this film. This entire film felt like they were building Oyemeku for something big. I know they spent so much time showing us how he trained, but the only time he had to fight, it was an epic fail. Then they showed us how he was angry about the princess whom he loved, right? And I thought it was going to make a power move, because why spend so much time showing us his reaction when it will not lead to anything, right? But then it did not do anything to move the plot forward. I was just confused. In the case of Basharun, we saw him acquiring powers. He even became an elephant in a particular scene, but he never really put the powers to use. We saw him shoot arrows at someone, at his enemy in the dark, right? But that was just it. So what was the whole point of building him up and the likes? It just felt very underwhelming to me. The storytelling did not inspire strong emotions. I know it had the right optics, but it was just not compelling enough. See, I respect Bolanle Austin Peters. I recently saw a film, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, and I absolutely loved it. So I don't want to hear anybody saying, "Oh, you're just not appreciating our work," or that kind of stuff. This film was just really lacking, right? As I bring this review to a close, I should mention that I thought it was weird that Oyemeku was able to kill the Abalist so easily. I would have liked to know why exactly they used the princess. Why her? There must be a story. I know that I saw it somewhere that it had to do with her name. Like they needed to use a particular animal and her name was similar to the animal's name. So due to the lawlessness of Basharun, it decided, okay, we'll just use her, right? But nothing was said in this regard in this particular film. And I'm sure that there is indeed a story there. I thought the fight scene with that giant was really awkward. I thought the very first battle in this film was poorly choreographed, and the final fight that happened in Basharun's house, I thought it was poor as well. It was just underwhelming. Finally, you know that fire that killed Basharun and his bodyguard at the end? Oh my god, it looked so fake. Overall, I would rate House of GAA a 5/10 because while it cannot be described as a bad film, it was not great either. It was just there. It failed to deliver a gripping story. It just dragged on and on. And even if you disagree with me, that is fine. I would just not be a party to hyping a mid-production. So, have you seen it? What did you think? How would you rate House of GAA over 10? Please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.